is the Minister for Foreign Affairs, Okudzeto Ablakwa. Let's do a little bit more on foreign affairs before we go back to the SONA issue and the reaction of the minority. One of the major things that have come out of your office is that communication to foreign missions in Ghana. There were many Ghanaians who were relieved to hear you admonish these foreign missions about how they treat Ghanaians who apply to them for visas. And you called for better treatment. The Netherlands mission had someone speak to this, and I must say I understood their perspective, that every system can be improved. Theirs is no exception. But they were not sure what your specific feedback to the Netherlands mission was, because your communication was general, which made it difficult for them to know what specific actions to take. Do you find that that seems to be the response from many other missions?
The reaction from the Netherlands ambassador suggests that he wanted the foreign ministry to mention a country, and then we state specifically what that country is doing that we don't like. That is not the style we opted for. We stated in very clear terms the issues we are not happy about. So it is for these diplomatic missions to look at those issues and carry out an internal assessment. If you are not responsible for those matters we feel strongly about, which border on violating the dignity and the rights of Ghanaian visa applicants, then you are fine. What are the issues? We have said one. We have observed that some of our diplomatic missions in Ghana do not have conducive waiting areas. So I have applied for a visa. You've asked me to come at this time, and then I'm on my own. Standing in the sun, at the mercy of the vagaries of the weather. If it's raining, you don't care, you know. That is not acceptable. Moving forward, we will not accept that as a government and as a people. I mean, I have quietly gone to some of these locations following petitions that we have received at the ministry from outraged Ghanaians. And I have seen for myself that this ordeal, this trauma, is not acceptable. Things can be done better. We all have shared values. And international good governance does not warrant that kind of treatment. So, one, the conducive environment where you can wait for your turn to be called for your visa interview in dignity is a matter that we will not compromise. Number two, we have observed that there are some of these missions, when people apply for a visa appointment, they have to wait for sometimes a whole year, a year and a half, 6 months or more. And some of the petitions I have read from Ghanaians, they say that they are now having to even travel outside the country to get an appointment. And we are asking ourselves at the Foreign Ministry that what are those same countries, what are their missions doing right in other countries? How is it that for country A in Ghana, where you apply for a visa and it's 6 months, 8 months, 1 year ahead before you can get an appointment. Sometimes even on medical grounds, on emergencies. However, when that same applicant travels across the border, same country, sometimes their population even much bigger than Ghana, sometimes 5 times, 4 times, 3 times bigger than Ghana's population. You can't get an appointment within a few days. We are not saying that grant people visas. No, we acknowledge that we can't make that determination. It is your right as a sovereign country to assess the visa applications and make your decision whether you are issuing or not issuing. But at least let the people have the appointments within a reasonable time. So that's the second issue we have raised. The third issue we have raised is that let us have special considerations for emergencies. Some of the petitions, and now a lot of MPs who have been inundated from constituents who have said, look, we have this medical emergency. There's a case we are looking at now, very sad. A child who has cancer. They went to India first. The Indians are saying that no, the state now, Ghana, India, can't be of help. You have to go to another country. And it's been so difficult. And this is a life and death situation. So the member of parliament has to appeal to the foreign ministry. And there have been many cases like that. So we are saying that create space for medical emergencies. There are students who have specific timelines to meet. Their university, they've got a scholarship or they've paid their fees. The university says you have to be here in 2 months' time, else your admission is forfeited. And then they can't get an appointment. So we have listed specific issues and we consciously left out the countries because we do not want to be accused of wanting to strain relations with specific countries or wanting to embarrass countries, particularly as a first step. So this not verbal we
but
issue.
These countries are straining relations with us by not meeting
Exactly. So as a first step, we thought that, look, in good faith, I mean, I'm new. This is our first engagement on this matter. Let us not call out countries and create the impression as though we know we probably have an axe to grind with some countries or we don't like some countries. So let us be specific with the issue. So you do an internal assessment. You will know whether you are indicted in those issues raised, or is one or two or all, and then improve your systems. We will have regular engagement, regular assessments, and if systems do not improve, we have the right. Look, remember that as a country, not too long ago, one of our international partners accused our ministry that they want to deport some Ghanaians and we are delaying with issuing our travel certificates. You remember? Yes. So what we are doing, I've heard some people say, oh, the minister should be careful. This may probably lead to even the visas being denied and all of that. I said, please, we know what we are doing. We know what we receive from our partners. There are times that our partners have said that, look, we think that your missions abroad, we have 71 of them abroad, we think that you can improve even on your efficiency. We have all of those note verbals. So if they can admonish us, they can say that, look, we have been trying to deport some of your nationals, you are not cooperating, you are delaying in issuing traveling certificates and all of that. Why is it that under the time-tested diplomatic principle of reciprocity, we cannot also assert our rights and say that, look, this has been going on for some time. We are receiving countless petitions. We ourselves can see when we drive to work on a daily basis as we go about our normal activities, we see what our fellow compatriots are going through. And we are saying that, please, enough is enough. So there's nothing wrong with this at all.
You know, I recognize the method. Here at Joy, sometimes I overrun segments on the show.
Yeah.
Sami Odami will call an entire meeting to tell everybody about overrunning when we all know who the culprit is.
Yes.
And there are some who suggest that really these issues you've raised tend to be experienced at one particular embassy. And this is just your way of firing a shot across the bows without targeting, someone in particular. But if it's one place where these problems are, well, let's talk to them directly.
Well, to be honest with you, Kojo, the petitions we have reviewed at the ministry is not one embassy. It's not one embassy. I would say that not less than 10 embassies have come up for serious, protests and outrage from our nationals. However, let me be fair to admit that there are some other diplomatic missions who are doing very well. And we need to also commend them and celebrate them. And last night at the New Year greetings hosted by President Mahama at the Jubilee House, I reiterated this demand that they should treat our people fairly, with dignity. But I also commended, I celebrated those who are doing well. I mean, we've received some high praise. Even since this note verbal was published, there are some who have said that, as for this particular embassy, as for that particular embassy, we are so impressed. Even if they won't grant us the visa, how they treat us, how they talk to us, their responsiveness, it is top notch. I mean, and we are proud of what they do. We are satisfied with the kind of consular service that they extend to us. And so,
have you given a deadline to those who you are expecting to take action?
In our engagements, we have said that they should take immediate steps.
What happens if they don't?
So then we will go to the next level, and that's where we will begin calling out specifically, directly, and they will have to. And you see, don't forget that in diplomacy, you have all kinds of tools available to you, and some countries do that very well, even with visa fees. Do you know that there are some countries that they don't have the same visa fee? The visa fee is pegged according to what your country does. So yes, so if you are applying for a visa to go to come to my country, depending on the country you are coming from, we check what they do to our citizens. So if they charge our citizens who are going to your country $100, you pay $100. If another person coming from another country is applying for a visa and we check, they say $20, $10, that's what you pay.
That's wonderful.
So yes.
And whilst you're at it, are we also looking at our own missions in other countries and their performances, how well they're doing over there? And whilst you're answering this question, just yesterday, you mentioned the president's, at the New Year greeting.
Yeah.
And he mentioned the Ghana Labour Export Program,
yeah,
vis-a-vis the bilateral labour agreement. And I'm curious, there's a launch, and then what will be the model? What shall I look out for? Yeah. Are there also any pending, bilateral agreements that you're looking to enforce?
Absolutely. And let me begin with the
Ghana, our own mission.
Our own missions. There's 71 of them abroad. We're currently doing a review, and we have said that standards will have to improve. We have to improve efficiency. We've said that particularly Ghanaians abroad. That's why we are establishing a consular fund to extend consular assistance, take care of the needs of Ghanaians, even those who face deportation. We will not just accept, hook, line, and sinker. We'll put up a defense. We'll get them lawyers. There will be some, assistance extended to them, and we expect all our missions to do that. That is why I've created a new desk for students as well. You may have heard that announcement. We've looked at the data where we have a considerable number of students. We have set up student desks because too often, unless students in those countries demonstrate that a scholarship has delayed, remittances have delayed, we don't have accommodation before, when the media picks it up, then authorities. Meanwhile, we have an embassy in that country. It doesn't speak well of us. So we have said that student decks should be established, and then they should engage with these students, their leadership, and make sure that they are ahead. So their concerns should be channeled. It doesn't do our image good when these students have to go on demonstrations, go out there and, if you like, wash our dirty linens in public. It does not help our image. So we are improving consular relations. I can confirm to you this morning that we have also established what we are calling a delivery unit to spearhead the institutional reforms that we are carrying out, and it's chaired by a distinguished ambassador. What the delivery unit is doing is to make sure that all these missions abroad are efficient, they are more responsive. Ghanaians should not be calling numbers and nobody picks up. I mean, the minister will also call. I've started making calls, and I know embassies that are responsive, those that are not responsive, and we know what to do to them. I mean, that is why if you look at our bills, we spend billions of cedis taking care of our foreign service officials abroad, keeping these diplomatic missions open. It is not cheap, and we must get value for money. We are using taxpayer resources. So the people who take care of these bills, who pay for your stay in those countries, the least we can do for them is to make sure that we are serving them well. So we are insisting that within, charity must also begin at home. We also become more efficient, more responsive, and we are doing that. Ambassadors have also been given clear KPIs, particularly under our economic diplomacy priority area. Diplomacy must impact positively the welfare of the people. It's not just about, keeping our missions open. How are you contributing to industrialization, to job creation? What are the opportunities that you are creating for our people, particularly the youth? So these are all areas that
the other one will be the Ghana Labor
the Ghana Labor Export Program. You know that unemployment has worsened, and from about 8% in 2016 to now 14.7%, and really, if you look at international politics now, some countries have done a great job to leverage employment, give exposure to their young people, give them more skills, let them go and work in different environments, learn from colleagues at different work sites, and then come back. Countries like Cuba, Indonesia, they are doing that so well. And Ghana, we sign up to this. We pay these governments good money. They get FDI. When they send us, for example, Cuba sends us doctors every year. We pay for it. People think it's just, even though, yes, we celebrate the Cubans, they do very well, because some of the, places they agree to go work, outskirts, remote areas, they don't complain, and you find doctors there, including in my constituency, and we celebrate the Cubans for that. But there's a bilateral agreement, and Cuba generates some FDI from that. So that's what we want to do. That's what the labor export program is about. So the president is saying we'll set up a department, we will train the people so they have international certification, and then they'll go out there, work, whether you are a nurse or a doctor or a welder or a carpenter, a plumber, whatever your passion is, we give you the certification so that you are certified. Nobody can deny you your appropriate wages, and then there's a portion of that the receiving government will pay our government, and then you will also get your good money. Now, when they also know that your government is aware that you are here, remember all the reports every now and then about Ghanaian workers abroad who are being maltreated, by the employers, their rights being violated, and all of that, is going to stop, because you have the whole arrangement regulated, and they are aware that the government knows they are there. There's a bilateral agreement covering that. So that's what we are going to do. And already, to answer your question, the other part of your question, we have some very interesting offers. Since other governments heard about this program, the requests are coming, taken fast.
We've heard
particularly
about
from Europe. Yes, there's Romania, there's Bulgaria, Germany, and a host of other countries.
What particular skills are they interested in recruiting from Ghana?
So, nurses, teachers, and then some want in the oil and gas space, some of the engineers and artisans. So
I hear the Romanians want some truck drivers as well.
Yes, truck drivers. And then Barbados wants to increase. We have about 155 nurses in Barbados, and they are so impressed with them. They want to increase the partnership, increase the numbers. And then others in the Caribbean want to, Trinidad and Tobago, Jamaica, they all want us to replicate that.
Will these exported workers be compelled to return after some period of time? Are they obliged to return?
So far what we have discussed, we want to have initial 2 years renewable, but it's their decision and the decision of the government. For example, the Barbados government, they want to renew. They don't want the nurses to return anytime soon. The nurses will appear very happy, so we'll make it flexible, but you can return at any point in time, as you decide to. And then when you return, we'll also create space for you. We don't want all the exposure, the expertise that you have gathered to go with. So we'll have a way of integrating you in our system so that you can continue working. So that's how we are fashioning